It's National Park Week. Join us for a reflective journey through 15 national parks and the wisdom they offer us.
Today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast. Welcome to Wandering But Not Lost, your online source for finding balance so that you can align, connect, and prosper. And now your hosts, Jen O'Brien and Matt Emerson. Well, hey, friends, and welcome back to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, your go-to spot for aligning your business, your life, and your community. You can find all your show notes here over at WBNLpodcast.com. This is episode 348. We do have a companion download for this episode. I know that's shocking to you if you've been watching your podcast for the last few weeks or month or so, because we are Download Palooza is what we're calling it. But our guide today links into what Jan's opening was. We have a free journaling guide, 15 life lessons from our national parks. It's grounding reflections to realign your path. If you want to go to grab that, it gives a lot of the information that we're talking about today, as well as, some journal prompts and things to reflect upon. Go over to wanderingbuttnotlost.com. Up in our top menu, there was a download button. Punch that. You'll go over to our downloads and you can get that downloaded absolutely for free. That's the best part about that. So this week, you know what? We're doing a little something different, as you've already can tell, and we've already kind of talked about. We're celebrating National Park Week, which kicked off last Saturday, April 19th. So we are excited about that. I had a chance to go to not Sequoia. That would have been awesome.
You want to go to
Joshua Tree over the weekend. So I went on Fee-Free Day, which was pretty cool. And we had an awesome time there. I'm going to be, we'll have posted some pictures from that experience on our Instagram. So go check all that out. A lot of people, because that's what happens during Fee-Free Day. But it's nice to see people out enjoying the park. So that's exciting. So we're going to be celebrating all week. The remainder of the week, we have another podcast coming up this Thursday where we're going to jump into kind of the pro tips on what you can do when you're going out to the national park. So don't miss that episode as well. But today we're going to focus a little bit more just into the kind of what our feeling the essence of the parks are. And I tell you, when I go to a national park, we love, it's funny how things change over the years. When Laura and I first started going, we would just go because we wanted to see them. And then it became, oh my God, we have to hike every single trail and every single peak and do every single thing in the park. And now for us, it's more about going. It's like any national park that we've returned to for the second time or more, it's like going home. So you're going back, you've done all the busy work, you've experienced it, and now it's time to just slow down and reflect and really appreciate what the feeling of that park is and the soul of that park. And that's what's so wonderful about it. And now that we're in that space in our national park adventure, our journey, through our life, when we go to parks that we haven't been to before, we always make a point of doing that as well. Because if you haven't been to some of these parks, you really do have the urge to just see as much as you possibly can, right? And to not miss a thing. But you really do have to pull back and kind of relax a little bit. So that's what we're going to do today.
And honestly, Matt and I really worked a lot on this particular podcast because we were so in alignment, because we have been saying for years here at Wandering But Not Lost how it is all about getting up and getting out. And we really embraced this term mindful wandering. As a matter of fact, that is the handle of our YouTube channel for Wandering But Not Lost, at Mindful Wandering, where you can find all of this content, shorts and so forth. And honestly, mindful wandering and being in nature, but now we take it up a level. Being in national parks is really how I personally stay the most grounded and aligned. So today we're going to take you through 15 national parks and hopefully share with you, and especially if you download that free digital download today, you'll see as we go along, we'll talk to you about how you can use that. They aren't just places to visit. They really are wise teachers.
Absolutely. So let's just jump into the 15 life lessons that we can learn from the national parks. And the first one on our list is the Grand Canyon. And when we think of the Grand Canyon, the word that comes to mind is resilience. The lesson here from the Grand Canyon is that you're shaped, not broken, by time and pressure. And when I say that, it almost gives me the chills, because formed over millions of years, the Grand Canyon teaches us to trust the long game. The pain, the pressure, the erosion we face in life can carve out the most breathtaking beauty in us. It didn't resist erosion. It embraced it. It gives me the chills.
Yeah, the layers of the canyon really do feel like chapters of our lives, if you can really see that. Even if you're just seeing it from the overlook, right?
Yep.
We're shaped, not shattered by time and our trials.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to number 2. Yosemite teaches us presence. The lesson, stillness is power. Gosh, that is just so powerful, so true. The granite giants like Half Dome, which you just can't keep your eyes off, and the ancient groves of sequoias invite us to pause. Yosemite is a cathedral of presence. It all lives in the moment. We choose to truly pause and see it.
I love it. Yeah, because Yosemite doesn't shout. It stands. And you feel it when you're there. El Capitan doesn't need to prove itself. That's a life lesson right there. Number 3 is Zion, which that park, well, they're all stunning. I can't say that for 15 more times, but
I know.
Yeah.
But they are.
But like the Grand Canyon in a way, what the word that really describes Zion is flow. Because the lesson here is you need to let it go, let life carry you on. The Virgin River, which looks so meek and mild and tame and tiny, you know, it doesn't bulldoze its way through the rock. It's flowed through the rock. Zion teaches us the art of surrender and trust in movement.
And sometimes that flow, especially at Zion, is not rushing. It feels more reflective and resting. And I have definitely done that at Zion at various places. That was the big aha for me, because water is really powerful for all of us. But it's not always a rushing river, to your point. It's those spots where you can sit and reflect and rest.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So number 4, Everglades. Definitely reminds us of adaptability. That lesson, thrive where others would not. The Everglades is truly a liquid landscape.
It is.
Always shifting, always alive, lots of hidden little creatures in the swampland. It shows us that softness doesn't mean weakness. It means there's true strength through our adaptability.
I mean, that's exactly right? It blends. It doesn't break. It's a quiet lesson in resilience. Arches National Park is impermanence. All things change. Let that set you free. Now, do you get that? Things change. And you got to just not dwell on that. Every arch in Arches is temporary. It'll fall one day. It doesn't make it less beautiful. It makes it more beautiful.
Yeah, it tells us let's celebrate the now without clinging to what must change. Mm-hmm. Which brings us to number 6, the Great Smoky Mountains, which is the most popular by visitors annually national park. To me, it evokes mystery. The lesson, walk even when the path is unclear. The fog that can happen in the Great Smoky Mountains wraps around the trees like a secret. You don't always see the trail, but you keep walking anyway. That's trust.
Yeah, life's like that too. We never have the full picture of what's going on around us, but we move forward anyway. And we preach that a lot here on old WBNL. Number 7 is Joshua Tree. And the word we came up for that is duality, because you are both wild and wise. Twisted trees, harsh deserts, magical sunsets. Joshua Tree is a paradox. It gives us permission to be complex too.
So it says you can be gritty and graceful.
Yeah.
That's more than okay. It's amazingly powerful.
Absolutely.
So number 8, Yellowstone, teaches us all about inner power. Here's a lesson. There's more within you than meets the eye. In Yellowstone, the calm in the surface is untamed energy, a super volcano, right? Geysers, boiling springs. It reminds us of the power we carry that's right beneath our own surface.
Yeah, right. What's quiet isn't empty. It's powerful and it's sacred. Crazy. Number 9, the Rocky Mountains. There, you got to say elevation is the word of the day. And the lesson here is climb higher, see clearer. At high elevations, everything sharpens. The climb is tough, but the view, well, it's worth it. Growth is rarely easy, but it changes everything.
And it teaches us to breathe deeper and be present even when the air is thin, like it definitely is in Rocky Mountain National Park. Number 10, Redwood, one that's on my bucket list, is all about legacy. The lessons: stand tall, connect deep. Redwoods are giants, not just because of their height, but because of their network, their interconnection. They survive together. Community is their strength.
And what's your legacy? Well, let's just say it starts right now with the roots that you place today. We are like trees, aren't we? In a lot of ways.
Oh, I love trees.
I know. Number 11 is Acadia. And the beauty of Acadia, and the word that really best describes it, is balance. And the lesson here is harmony creates wholeness. Ocean and forest, mountains and sea, Acadia is proof that we don't have to choose between our parts. We can integrate them.
And wholeness doesn't mean perfection. It means honoring all the various parts of who you really are. Number 12, haven't been to this one, also on my bucket list. Haleakalā teaches us about renewal. The lesson: you rise from the ashes. Once a volcano, now a sacred sunrise. Haleakalā whispers that even when everything falls apart, everything can fall apart. Something new is waiting to rise, like the great phoenix.
That's right, exactly. Because destruction can be the beginning of something extremely beautiful. And just as a side note with this, and on the same, if you can't go over across the Pacific to Haleakalā, a place to really see this is Mount St. Helens up in Washington, because it is exactly that. I mean, you would have thought that volcano could have turned into a landscape that is differently beautiful, but beautiful. Number 13, one of our favorite parks, Sequoia. And really, there's a lot of words to describe it, and there are also no words to describe it, which makes it a particularly difficult park to actually pinpoint. But Majesty is the word that we came up with. And the lesson here is: you are meant to be seen. The sequoias don't scream, they just are. They're majestic, and they're steady, and they are unapologetically present.
They are breathtaking is what they are. And they're a reminder that true greatness doesn't need to shout. You don't need to shrink. What they teach us really is to stand strong and powerful.
Beautiful.
Just as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Number 14, Kings Canyon. The lesson here: depth. The canyon runs deep, like emotional excavation. The real transformation, that happens below the surface.
That's right. The further you go in, the more you uncover. It's great. And number 15, we'll kind of wrap this up with Olympic National Park. And the word for this is wholeness. You contain multitudes. Once again, gave me chills. It's one of my favorite parks because there's glaciers, rainforests, and beaches. And that seems impossible all in one place. Olympic shows us that we too are not one thing alone. We are complex. We are complete.
And we don't have to simplify who we are to be understood. Honestly, embracing all the various parts of us that make us unique and whole is the true lesson.
That's right. So we hope these reflections spark something new today. A memory, a feeling, or maybe even a reason to wander a bit this week.
And national parks, hopefully we've gotten that across to you today, are more than beautiful destinations. They really are sacred places filled with wisdom. We've just shared 15 potential lessons amongst the 400 plus possible spots around the country that you could visit, not just necessarily during this National Park Week, anytime it can fit into your schedule, and they might just change your life.
That's right. And as always, you can find the show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. And let me get my guide prompt up here. If you want to, speaking of prompts, if you want to go grab our free journaling guide, go over to wanderingbutnotlost.com and click the downloads button in the menu above, and you'll get all of the lessons and the words along with journaling prompts to help get you in the right mind frame there.
Yeah, and that guide talks about even if you can't get to the 15 specific parks we spoke about today with these life lessons and power words, it just reminds you can go get the NPS app from your favorite app location app store, or there are so many documentaries, YouTube videos that you can find, so you can just really almost virtually experience the park. And then there are maybe there's something that really appealed to you today. There's great prompts in there, just help you do some journaling exercises and do get a little bit deeper into what you're here to do.
And so, speaking of that, Jen, before you do that, in the show notes last week, I put a link to some Spotify playlists and some other music playlists. I'll put them in the show notes again this week if you want to get the feeling of the national parks through audio, because the theme this year is national park playlist. You can go to the show notes and listen to some of that while you're journaling here. And if this episode moved you, please share it with someone who could use a little perspective, maybe a little nature, and a whole lot of heart.
Absolutely. And I forgot that you included those links in the download, because that, if you can't get there, listening to some of that inspired music, and that is the theme of the National Park Week, is what's your favorite playlist. That will really help you as you're doing the journaling prompts, and you can create that whole virtual experience. So until next time, get outside, get inspired, and be forever wandering but not lost.